Hi there, very good morning to all of you. You've tuned to ET now, and this is Buy Now Sell Now with Michelle D'Souza, and we'll have Shrishti Sharma also joining us very shortly. Let's take a look at what the markets are doing at this point in time. 10 points shy away. We were shy from that record high levels, but from there on, we've only given up all of the gains. We are now sub 18,800 mark when it comes for the Nifty. Even Sensex also is seeing similar fall in today's trading session. Remember that the all-time high level for the Nifty is around 18,887.5, and we were just at kissing distance from those levels. Talking about Nifty Bank, that's the one that's also taking a sharp knock in today's trading session. Take a look at what Nifty Bank is doing right now. 0.6% downtick coming in for the Nifty Bank index. Take a look at what Bajaj Finserv is doing, because over the last 15-20 minutes, that particular counter also has seen a sharp fall of excess of about 1% from the day's highest point. Axis Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, they are the top losers on the Nifty, also seeing trading with cuts in excess of 1.5% as we speak. Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports and IndusInd Bank are the other set of losers at this point in time. Let's take a look at what's gaining in the market. So you have L&T, that's seeing gains of about 1.9%. You have Titan, that's seeing gains of about 1.6%. Bajaj Twins, no doubt, Bajaj Finserv is off the day's highest point. Still, it's among the top gainers on the Nifty. So both the Bajaj Twins are seeing good gains. Add to that list, even Divi's Laboratories as well as Sun Pharma is holding on to good gains in today's trading session. But let's talk about what the rest of the market is doing. So you have PSU Bank Index as the top sectoral performer in trade today. 0.8 of uptick coming in for the PSU Bank Index. It's actually moving in divergent to what the private sector banks are doing. So remember, like I mentioned, Kotak Mahindra Bank, Axis Bank as well as IndusInd Bank are among the top losers on the Nifty. But looks like the PSU banking space is holding on to good gains at this point in time. You have the broader markets as outperforming the benchmark indices. The mid-cap index has hit record high levels once again in today's trading session. 0.5% uptick coming from mid-cap index. Your small-cap index that hit a 52-week high in today's trading session. Also, pharma index is seeing good gains of about 0.4% as we speak. So that's the way how the markets are looking like at this point in time. Yes, the benchmark indices are performing the broader markets. You have the Nifty that is sub 18,800 mark. But let's put the spotlight on the entire NBFC space. You have JP Morgan as well as HSBC that are positive on the NBFC space, with Bajaj Finance and L&T Finance as their top picks. This is for JP Morgan. HSBC has raised target prices for a lot of the stocks in the NBFC space. Let's get in more details on what exactly both JP Morgan as well as HSBC has to say on the NBFC space. For that, let me bring on board my colleague Lisa. Lisa.
Well, yes, so a couple of brokerages have come out on a note on NBFC sector, and they're quite bullish on it, JP Morgan as well as HSBC. Now, what JP Morgan is saying that that the NBFC sector loan growth that is high and it's outpacing banks, and even HSBC, they are of a similar view, as they say that the outperformance in the NBFC sector that could continue as the EPS CAGR that diverge versus the banks, it's quite high, and an earning upgrade cycle that is also underway with multiple drivers in place. Well, HSBC has hiked the target price for several NBFCs like M&M Finance, Bajaj Finance, Chola Investment, SBI Card, L&T Financing as well L&T Finance as well as LIC Housing. For JP Morgan, the top picks remains Bajaj Finance as well as L&T Finance. Now, why Bajaj Finance? Because they believe that the earnings compounding the earnings compound will be around 25% over the next 3 years, and for L&T Finance, the valuations remain quite reasonable and attractive. And JP Morgan is also of the view that the investors, given the historical challenges in NBFC, they have under-allocated on the sector. But given the state of the credit cycle and also the macro setup on the rates, JP Morgan believe that the investors will add this NBFC to their portfolio. So that's the word coming in from the brokerages on NBFCs.
All right, so thank you so much for that, for getting us those details on what the brokerages have to say on the NBFC space. Let's also look at what 5-star is doing at this point in time, because today you had an initiation coming in from Nomura as well for 5-star, and that particular counter is seeing an uptick of about 5% as we speak. They've seen a huge upside in the target price as well for that particular counter. But let's bring on board our guest for today to basically understand what are their views coming in for the NBFC space. Are they in sync with what the brokerages are making out of the NBFCs? Let me bring on board Gunnar Bothra as well as Mr. Chokalingam for joining us on the show. A very good morning to you, Mr. Chokalingam, as well as Kunal. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. And Mr. Chokalingam, let me come first to you. Are you also bullish on the entire NBFC space, on the prospects going ahead?
Certainly not. I am little nervous now. I've been monitoring, monsoon for more than a 2 decade closely. First time in the last 10 years, I got a really bit worried because if you look at the cumulative rainfall, it's about 37% deficit as compared to long-term average. This is from June 1st as of yesterday. And if you look at the subdivisions, meteorological subdivision, there are 36 subdivisions. Only 28%, roughly only 1/4 of the subdivisions have received a normal or above normal rainfall. So in my experience and learning, the monsoon becomes critical for rate sensitive sector like NBFC. So, and also the NBFC stocks have risen and given phenomenal return. So this is a time to be very, very, very cautious and also start booking profit for two more reasons. We are at the peak of the interest rate cycle. At the peak of the interest rate cycle, so banks have hedged over NBFC because most banks have anywhere 30 to 50% exposure to low cost deposits, and that is advantage NBFCs do not have. So at the peak of the rate cycle, it is always preferable to go for banks rather than NBFC. Third, in the last 1 year, the banks have started grabbing the market share of NBFCs in the gold loan segment. Banks are also now growing very fast and they have built a reasonable market share. So considering all that, I would suggest retail investors to start booking profits gradually in NBFC stocks.
So that's Mr. Chokalingam, who's sounding very cautious on the NBFC space. Of the view also, if you want, you can go ahead and start booking profits in your NBFC exposure, is what Mr. Chokalingam has to say. Talking about the monsoon as well, today we had SkyMet who came on our channel. He said we're expecting normalized rainfall only from June 24th onwards. So monsoon deficit also can play a havoc for the NBFC space, is what Mr. Chokalingam has to say. But Kunal, coming to you, a very good morning. What's your view on the NBFC space, and do you concur with the view it's time to book profits in NBFCs?
Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, everyone. My view is a bit different. I would believe that many of these NBFC stocks are actually showing signs of a major pickup of price as well as momentum for themselves. Now, it's not the traditional large cap names, the likes of Bajaj Finance, FinServ, etc. But I think the tier 2 names are the ones which are showing excellent, breakout potential for themselves. So something like, for example, L&T Finance, M&M Finance, many of these, NBFC names, they've shown very good potential in the last 1 to 2 months. And we've seen historically that whenever such kind of a move happens, into these tier 2 names, they've managed to outperform, the large cap basket by a good margin. So we could probably be into a phase where the mid cap or the tier 2 names in the NBFC pack, they could stand to outperform significantly as compared to the large cap peers. So I would be bullish on the sector overall, but my preference would be specifically towards the tier 2 large cap names or the mid cap ones.
All right, so divergent views coming in on the NBFC space, but remember that one view is on the technical front and the other one is on fundamental front. But on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But stay tuned, viewers, because when we come back, we'll start taking queries, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and this is a show where we get you answers for all of your stock-related queries. All you've got to do is message us on the WhatsApp number that'll be flashing on the top of your screen to mention your name, the stock that you're looking to invest in. If you've already invested in the stock, then mention the buy price, the quantity, as well as the time horizon. That will help our experts help you better. And talking about our experts, today we have Kunal Bothra as well as Mr. Chokalingam joining us on the show. And let me take the first query coming in from Pratiksha from Muscat, and she's holding HEG at the current market price. Kunal, she wants to know whether she should sell, or is there any hopes that the stock will actually go higher in the next 3 months, since she's holding it for the last 2 years and there's not been much movement in the stock, given the fact that it has actually now arrived at her buy price. So she wants to know for the next 3 months, any scope of up move, or what should her strategy be?
I think you should hold on to the stock. My belief is that the stock from 1600 had corrected very sharply. I think it had gone to sub 1000 levels. It's now made a very good recovery, and in fact both HEG and graphite, they're actually looking very attractive on the medium to long term charts. So I think if you have, say, another 3 to 6 months kind of a time frame, I think you should definitely look to hold on.
Okay,
Moving on to the next query, and this one is coming from Bablani from Mumbai. And Mr. Chokalingam, he wants your advice on two counters. Can he buy Triveni Engineering and Ramakrishna Forgings at current market price?
Forging is a good stock, but both stocks have run up a lot in the last few months. So I am not comfortable at the price point. In case there is a severe correction, then they can become a buy sell.
One is coming in from Sunny and Kunal. He's asking about Rajesh Exports. 580 is the buy price for Rajesh Exports. He's seeing a sharp decline in this counter today. It is down about 6% or so. Can he add some more at this point in time? Do you think it's a stock that you should look to invest in?
See, it's not a top priority stock, of course, Rajesh Export, but the only interesting point, for the stock is that the volumes in the last 1 week, 2 weeks have been on the much higher side for Rajesh Export. Now, the stock has not yet confirmed a breakout. So, ideally in this scenario, I would suggest to say wait out for another 2 to 3 weeks. Let us see how the prices evolve. If there is any kind of a breakout, say about the 660 mark, then we could anticipate. Then we could probably expect that the volume accumulation this last couple of weeks is more to do with buying for the stock price, and this could result into a steady uptrend. But if it doesn't happen and the stock consolidates or drags lower, then I think there could be an attempt that the stock may even retest the previous major swing lows, which could be at least a 2 to 3 year swing low for Rajesh Exports. So I would recommend a hold as of now, but possibly in the next 2 to 3 weeks, once the prices start to get into either a breakout or breakdown mode, that's where you can take a call.
Okay, Kunal, once again coming to you for next query. This one is from Sam from Goa, and he wants your advice on IOC. His buy price in 93 rupees 40 paisa, and he wants to know that in short term, can this counter cross 100 rupees or so?
Well, I think the pace of rally for IOC would now go into a halt. So what ideally would have expected for IOCs to happen in the next maybe 1 to 2 weeks, I think would now probably take at least another 1 to 1.5 odd month for the stock to come back to that kind of a zone. So if you're okay with holding the stock for that kind of a time frame, 1 to 1.5 odd month, and expecting the stock to deliver some 7-8% returns, only then I think you should stay put with IOC.
Okay, this query is coming in from Pankaj, Mr. Chokalingam, and he's holding Spark around 312 shares at a price of around 162 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should continue to hold on to Spark for the next 2 to 3 years or book profit and exit this counter. And if exit, then where should he look to park his money for the next 2 to 3 years?
If this is Sun Pharma Advanced Research,
Sun Pharma Advanced Research, yes.
I am a perennially bearish on this stock for last 10 years, because for more than 10 years, it has failed to reward in terms of the fundamentals, in terms of bottom line. So I maintain the sell call on Spark.
All right, since you're maintaining a sell call on Spark, so would you advise Pankaj to move out of this one and look to invest in something else altogether, Mr. Chokalingam, then?
Yeah, one can look at pharmaceutical stocks like Cipla, or in small cap, Albert David. It has got a lot of cash on the books and single digit PE. It's one of the very attractive stocks in the small cap. It has created a lot of multi-bagger in the last 20 years frequently. Now again, it's very attractive now.
Oh. Okay, Kunal, the next query is on PFC. The question is from Ajay, and he wants your advice specifically on this particular counter. He has bought 100 shares at a price of 200 rupees, and this particular stock, after running up a lot, is now seeing a bit of a fall. So at this point in time, should he stay invested or book at the current market price?
Well, I think you should stay invested on PFC. I am extremely bullish on the stock on the medium-term time scale. I think the last recommendation which I had given for PFC was with a target of 225, potentially with a time frame of 1 to 2 months. So I think if you're okay with holding on for the stock another 1 month, I think then 225 could be a target which you can keep.
All right, moving on then. Firstly, a kind note to all of our viewers who have tuned in. Please do not call us on the WhatsApp number or on the number that is flashing on the screen. We will not be able to take your calls. We will be taking, however, your queries if you write to us on our WhatsApp number. Moving on then, this one is coming in from Akhil. He's writing to us from Delhi. This one is for you, Mr. Chokalingam. Uflex versus Polyplex at current market price. Which one do you think is a good buy for a period of 1 to 2 years? And also, if you could suggest one good name in the EV or the auto space for the longer term, mid cap or a small cap one, that is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I would give silk on both Uflex and Polyplex if he's making profits, because both fundamentals and stock prices are extremely volatile if you see last 10 years, which doesn't give me a lot of confidence. And secondly, I am little nervous about small cap for the last couple of weeks only. Otherwise, I have been very bullish because of monsoon performance. Whenever monsoon fails miserably, the worst affected will be small cap segment. So therefore, instead of looking at the auto stock within the small cap, you can look at a stock like Maruti.
Another query is on large cap, and this one is from SSV Cham, and he wants your advice that whether at this point he can buy HDFC or HDFC Bank. What he's saying that he has observed HDFC is always quoting below HDFC Bank based on swapping ratio. So your comments on the same, as well as can he enter with a fresh buy in any of these counters?
It's better to buy HDFC Bank. Of course, as you rightly mentioned, fortunes of HDFC depends on fortunes of HDFC Bank. For long term, it's a great buy. We also have a buy call on HDFC Bank. I'm pretty confident that at least for another 3 years, HDFC Bank would maintain a profit growth of 15 to 18% consistently. And also its strategy of going to semi-urban and rural, it's really amazing. So therefore, you can buy HDFC Bank.
This one is coming in from Hemant, and he wants both a technical as well as fundamental view. I'll first take the technical view from Kunal. He's saying that he's holding 2,500 shares of Leica Labs at a price of around 115.2 for the last 1 year. He wants to know what's the technical as well as fundamental analysis on Leica Labs. He's looking at the looking at the promoter holding that is continuously going up for the last several quarters. He's holding this, hoping that this will be a turnaround story. And Kunal, do you concur this can be a turnaround story?
Well, technically, the volumes and the setup in the last two months have been very attractive for Leica Labs. Now, the stock has corrected very sharply. I think 225 plus was the high the stock had made in 2021-22, and from there it's corrected more than 50%. But then, just the setup in the last 1 or 2 months have been very attractive. The volumes have managed to make a very strong comeback. The stock has established a major low at the 100 odd mark. So I think purely based on the evidence over the last 2 months, I would probably expect the stock to get into a decent rally mode. So you can continue to hold on since you've purchased at lower levels for Leica Labs.
What's your Mr. Chokalingam? Fundamentally, do you think that he should hold on to Leica Labs can be a turnaround story?
Even if it is a turnaround story, I think to a large extent it is in price. And again, FY23 it made losses on both standalone and consolidated. You just can't go blindly after the promoters buying. But fundamental also should give you a lot of confidence, which I don't get it from this stock at the current price.
Okay, moving on, and Kunal, the next question is from Suresh from Bangalore, and he's holding 100 shares of Eris Life from a price of 710. What I'm seeing is that the stock has moved up from the lower levels in the past couple of months and is now trading above to its 200-day moving average. So going ahead, do you expect the momentum to continue, and what's the hope on recovery? The stock is Eris Life Sciences.
Well, yeah, I think looks attractive. In fact, on the weekly charts, if I'm not wrong, the stock has also given a bullish crossover on a few of the indicators. Yes, it's crossed over above the 200 DMA, but it's happened to a very slow, gradual manner for Eris Life, which means that the stock is inherently a very low to moderate beta stock. I would recommend a hold on Eris Life, and would expect that possibly in the next say 6 months to 1 year kind of a time frame, the stock can appreciate and possibly come back towards 750 mark, which was the previous year high or the resistance for Eris Life.
Okay, this one is coming in from Jai Krishnan. One more to you, Kunal. Deepak Nitrite is a stock, 125 rupees per share, 125 shares at a price of 2,164. He wants to know whether he should hold on to this. Will the stock give a breakout? What's your take on this one, or should he exit?
Well, I think Deepak Nitrite is one of the better chemical names to hold on to. I would believe that the stock has corrected very sharply in the last 1.5 to 2 years. I think at 2000, 2100 odd levels, it looks as a very attractive bet. Now, the only concern, there are two concerns over here. One is that your time frame has to be a bit extended. You can't be looking out for a short-term time frame because the stock would probably tend to deliver great returns on the longer term basis. And the second, the most important part is that it's a high beta stock. So if you are okay with having a stock which could probably move 5-10% swings at periodical times, then I think it makes sense to buy Deepak Nitrate. So these are the only two factors which you have to keep in mind, but I think it's a good stock to hold on.
Okay, Mr. Srinivasan, the next question is from Bhardwaj from Coimbatore, and he wants your advice on Varun Beverages. Can he buy this counter at this point in time? He's a long-term investor, so what's the outlook going ahead?
Yeah, the stock has already more than doubled. Valuation also has been stretched now. So I would not suggest buy on Varun Beverages at this price.
Okay, this one is from Puneet Kunal, a quick one. Infosys, he has 20 shares at a price of 1,299 rupees per share. For this month, he wants to know what sort of a target to look at.
Hold on to it as of now, but 1320 to 1335 could be a target which you can look out for.
Okay, that's the take coming in on Infosys. But with this, viewers, it's time to slip into a short break. But don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to take more of your stock-related queries. Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, a show where we get you answers for all your stock-related queries. And continuing the same, Mr. Chokalingam, the next question is from Subramaniam from Chennai, and he wants to invest in Nesco. Will that be a good bet for a fresh investment at this point?
By call, we have invested personally also to my company name and my name. My family members also invested. Among all the small caps, this is the most high conviction stock for me. I may be wrong. I still believe that this is a stock for next generation. It can create a phenomenal wealth in the next 2 to 5 years because it's sitting on close to 70 acres of land on highway, well connected to metro line, and also has planned for massive expansion of IT corporate park. And despite increasing the capex on creating assets, it has created a lot of cash also, which is more than 1,000 crore. So in the long term, I believe it's a multi-bagger, but in the short term, I would say at least 850 is a reasonable target price for the stock.
Writing to us from Tirupur, and Kunal, Adani Ports charts are showing a flat pattern. Breakout at 750 can take the stock higher, is what he's asking.
Yeah, so I think yes, 750 is the breakout point for this flag pattern, and it's not exactly a flag pattern, but because in flag patterns generally you don't see a 2-3 days of a strong uptrend and then 15-20 days of consolidation. That's still not a typical flag pattern looks like. But yeah, I think what I'm trying to sense is that it's an indication that the stock is going into a prolonged consolidation, and hopefully if the stock breaks out of this consolidation on the upside, we could be looking at a potential breakout on the stock.
Okay, moving on, and Mr. Chokalingam, the next question is from Balan, and he wants your advice on a list of stocks: Indian Bank, PNB, IDFC First Bank, and Canara Bank. Any bank that at this point in time you believe that he could exit, assuming that all these counters are in his portfolio. He didn't share the buy price, but looking at the valuations and looking at the recent run-up in all of these counters, do you believe that is this a good time to maybe book profits at this point in time?
On substantial profits, you should certainly book in a stock like IDFC First Bank. As I mentioned, if monsoon continues to remain bleak for another 3-4 weeks, then a lot of damage would happen to banking and financial stocks. But still, among all the stocks you have mentioned, we have a buy call in Canara Bank, extremely attractive stock, so that he can hold. Perhaps he can hold even Indian Bank. After the correction, it looks quite attractive. The remaining stock, if he has a big profit, because the valuations are stretched, he can consider selling them.
So Shri, he's writing to us from Cochin, Kunal, Prestige Estates, 65 shares at a price of 566 odd rupees. He wants to know whether what is the short-term projection for this one. Also, is it worth adding some more of Prestige Estates in his portfolio?
Well, it makes sense to add on further, but I think maybe the price could be a bit lower from current levels. Now, the last 3 or 4 days when the stock has corrected, it's actually corrected because of the indicators coming into an overbought territory. So what you're seeing right now is more of a cool off on the indicators, and that's resulting to a cooling off of prices or a correction on prices. My sense is that the stock could probably retest at 550 mark. So just around that 550 level is where you should look to average. Short-term targets you can keep at 600, 625 for Prestige.
Okay, Mr. Chokalingam, next question is from Bisakha, and he's been holding data patterns from a price of 744 rupees, sitting at a very good gains right now. Though he has 20 shares in his portfolios at this point, should he book profits? Because even today, in the weak market, the stock is down 4%. So what to do next in this one? The stock is, I beg your pardon, the stock is up 4%. So what's the advice on data patterns?
I would give sell call on data patterns considering the current price and the valuation.
Okay, this one is coming in from Sandeep, writing to us from Noida, Mr. Chokalingam, and he has 560 shares of IEX, which he's purchased at 204 rupees per share. He wants to know, how is this counter for a long-term investment? Because we know that what has happened to IEX, a lot of competitions, a lot of regulatory changes that's impacted the stock price quite heavily. 204 is his buy price. Do you think it makes sense to add some more to average it out for the long-term portfolio?
May recover, so you may consider buying it a little to average, but fundamentally it is a sell for me because the BSE has started a joint venture for power exchange. Even NSE is getting into power exchange. So these standalone companies with a single business exchange business will have a serious problem in terms of competition, especially with companies like NSE or even for that matter with the BSE. So apart from the regulatory developments, the competitive structure itself is a negative for the company. So fundamentally, it's a sell call. I would not suggest adding or buying further.
Okay, Kunal, Basav Datta wants to know your advice on Tata Motors. He's been holding 400 shares from a price of 497 rupees at this point since he's at profit. So should he book profits and rather look for a re-entry at lower prices? What's your advice coming in on this?
Well, I don't see any reason why to book profits because neither the indicators are overbought for Tata Motors nor the prices are at a steep rally for itself. So I think after that mild bit of rally in the second half of the month of May, the stock has gone into a 7-8 days of consolidation at this 560, 570 mark, which I believe could probably be an indication that the stock could be ready for a breakout on the upside pretty soon. What we've seen in the last 6-7 days also is the auto sector or the Nifty Auto Index taking a bit of a back seat. So I think when you have the sector correcting, but a stock, large cap name actually outperforming and not correcting, but going into a time-wise correction, that is actually considered to be very good for the stock. So I don't see any reason why you should be just booking out of Tata Motors immediately. Maybe if the stock rallies to 600 odd levels, that could be a point where you may consider booking out profits.
Okay, this one is coming in from Alma D'Souza Kunal. MRPL is the stock. She's already purchased at 90 rupees per share. She's saying that she's seeing some sort of an up move in the counter today, but she wants to know what should she do with this one and what sort of target for the next 6 months, though it is significantly lower than her buy price.
Yeah, it's lower and in fact in the last 3 or 4 days the stock has seen a good pickup from 64, 65 to now 76, 77. The only concern with stock like MRPL is that these trends are very, very, they don't sustain for a long period of time. You see the stock going into a 3-4 days of uptrend and then it consolidates for more than 1 to 1.5 odd month. And post that, if the markets are attractive or the sector is positive, you see a breakout on the upside. So that's the only concern with a stock like MRPL. The charts are looking attractive, but my only concern is that possibly after this 3 days of strong up move, the stock may go into some correction. So if you can maybe look at a better exit at current levels and then buy back, say closer to 72, 73 levels, that would be a good strategy.
Okay, moving on, and once again, Mr. Chokalingam, coming to you, the next question is from Aziz from Karnataka, and he wants your advice on 2 counters. Firstly is Balmain Lorry, and the other one is Cochin Shipyard. Can he buy any of these counters at this point in time? What he's saying that he's already holding some and wants to add more even. So what's your advice on both of these names?
I don't have a buy call on Cochin Shipyard, but certainly we have a buy call on Balmalari Investments. We prefer Balmalari Investment to Balmalari Company because while company gives a dividend yield of around 6.5–7%, Balmalari Investment gives a dividend yield of anywhere around 9%. It can be even 10%. And also Balmalari Investment is a holding company of Balmalari Company. And right now Balmalari Investment has a discount of around 45% to value of investments it holds in Balmalari Company. So as and when the core logistic business is sold, that is Balmalari Company is divested by the government, I believe Balmalari Investment can multiply. Till that time, one can enjoy dividend yield of even 10%, anywhere from 8 to 10%. So therefore, we have a buy call on Balmalari Investments. And personally also, we have invested in Balmalari Investments.
Moving on, this one is coming from Denny. He's writing to us from UK. And Kunal, today he's bought SBI call option 565 at 11, 5 lots, June expiry. He wants to know what's your view on this one, and also if you could tell us why is there selling pressure on the particular counter?
Well, I think the selling pressure is because of the way the markets have been. I think we've now gotten accustomed to this phenomena of the index opening a gap up and then for the next 3–4 hours, selling across large cap names. In the last half an hour, last 1 hour, is we tend to see a pickup of price action. So I don't see any surprise over there. Now SBI particularly, I think is a good trade because the risk reward to initiate a buy at current levels is very attractive. The market seems to have been rewarding a strategy where you're looking to buy on dips and specifically closer to the support points. So I think SBI has reached that major support, at least according to the charts where the indicators are oversold. So I think it's a good strategy where you should look to hold on to this call option.
Okay, Mr. Chokalingam, the next question is from Ghosh Tada from Delhi, and he wants your advice on Paras Defence. He's holding 1,500 shares at a price of 570 rupees. Since he's sitting at decent profits in this one, so at this point, should he book profits or rather he can buy more at current market price?
Yeah, I would give a sell call on the stock. Fundamentally, I think it is stretched in the valuation.
All right, on that note, we slip into a break on this edition of Buy Now, Sell Now. But viewers, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll continue taking your queries, so don't go anywhere. Back, you're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and let's continue taking all of your stock-related queries. The next query that I have is coming in from Venkat Jala. He's writing to us from Hyderabad, Kunal. Or rather, actually, I'll take it to Mr. Chokalingam. He has 700 shares of Glenmark Pharma at a price of around 430 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should hold or sell at current market price and shift to better alternate stock. And if you suggest that he should shift to better alternate stock, then which is the alternate stock?
Yeah, he can shift to, as I mentioned earlier, Cipla, or if he can take little risk, he can shift to Albert David. I believe Albert David can give in the long term even 50 to 100% return.
Okay, Mr. Chokalingam, coming to you for the next one. This question is from Akhil, and he's currently holding Tata Power and sitting at a profit of 10%. What he wishes to know is that at this point in time, can he book profits out of Tata Power and rather enter into a name? I've never heard of this, but this one is Moschip Technologies. This is a counter which is over 1,000 crores in market cap. But do you track this fund and will you be able to advise him?
I have tracked the mostly, but I do not have comfort on the balance sheet. At Tata Power, if he's a trader, he can take his own call on 10% profit. But fundamentally, it's an amazing stock. It is, transforming itself to renewable energy company, moving away from coal-based power company. A very interesting insight. Last week, we saw a major order coming from, Tata Steel Group for Tata Power. So then I realized, Tata Group itself is like an economy, having so many companies. So apart from getting orders from the marketplace and getting order captively from within the Tata Group itself can be another game changer for Tata Power. So we maintain a target price of 262. I'm pretty confident that the stock can achieve the target price, within 6 months or 1 year.
Okay, this one is coming in from Praveen Salian. He's writing to us from Vasai. And Kunal, this one is for you. 500 shares of IDFC First. He wants to know that is it advisable to buy at current market price?
buying at current
Actually, he's saying at 84. 84 is the current buy price actually. So he wishes to buy 500 shares.
Well, I think it's a very good stock, excellent chart. We've been recommending IDFC First Bank since much lower levels, but I'm not sure buying at 84 levels would deliver any kind of an immediate short-term returns, because the stock has gone into a bit of a exaggerated uptrend over the last many days. In fact, this is the 6th or the 7th consecutive day where IDFC First Bank has rallied from 70 to 83, 84 levels where it's trading right now. So you can start buying, but I think buy in tranches. Maybe you can start at current levels, and in case if the stock dips towards 80 or 78 levels, that's where you should look to add further.
Okay, moving on, and Kunal, the next question is from Pradeep, and he wishes to stay invested in any of the names, but for the next 6 months, the stock that he has on radar is L&T Finance, Titagar Wagon, as well as KFin Technology. So at this point, any fresh buy recommendation in any of the names?
Well, KFin Technology I don't track, but L&T Finance and the second name which you mentioned was Titagar Wagon. I think both these stocks are something which you should continue to hold on. I think both these stocks have done reasonably well. In fact, you can, if you want, you can look to even add further for L&T Finance. I think that's a stock which I'm extremely bullish on, and looks like that the stock would probably get into a very strong multi-year uptrend. So that's a stock which you can look to even add further, but hold is what I would recommend for the other two.
Okay, Kunal, actually let me take this one to Mr. Chokalingam, because he wants to know of a 2-year time frame. This one is coming from RK Ahuja. He's holding Gujarat Flora as well as Godfrey Phillips. Both of them are at his cost price. This is after 6 to 9 months of already investing in the counter. Now he wants to know which one of these should he look to exit and instead look to buy fact.
I heard properly Godfrey Phillips. What is the other stock, please?
Gujarat Flora and Godfrey Phillips.
Yeah, between these two, I prefer holding Godfrey Phillips based on the fundamentals. Fact is a chemical company, extremely volatile. Both the stock prices and the product prices, and in fact, a recent Chemical Weekly, talks about a lot of pain coming to the chemical sector. So I would not suggest buying fact.
Okay, but for this, viewers, let's kickstart taking all your queries in the rapid fire session. And the first question that I have is for you, Mr. Chokalingam. The question is from Rajesh Maheshwari, and he is holding 1,000 shares of MRPL at an average price of 42 rupees. What's your advice and what's the outlook going ahead? Should he continue to hold on or book profits at this point?
Book profits in MRPL.
Okay, Venkata Ramani from Bangalore. Kunal, is it worth buying JSW Energy for a present at current price for 1 year?
Yes.
Okay, Kunal, Deepak wants to know, is this a good time to rather buy and add SBI or wait for further correction?
Buy and add SBI at current levels.
Alright, is it advisable to buy Alkyl Amines at current market price or Laurus Lab at current market price? This one is from Swati, Mr. Chokalingam.
Sell Alkyl Amines, buy Laurus Lab.
Okay, Mr. Chokalingam, what's your opinion on AMC stocks? The question is from SK Saran, and he's currently holding 100 shares of UTI AMC from a price of 650 rupees. So should he add more or rather exit at this point?
Hold for long term. I don't see opportunity in the short term.
Okay, Mudit wants to know, Kunal, Fortis Health, 128 shares at a price of 305 rupees per share. What's the 1 month target for Fortis Health?
Looks good for a target of 320.25.
Okay, Kunal, the next question is an options query from RLK Rao. He's holding HDFC Bank 29th June PE at a price of 54 rupees. He's currently at a loss this time around. So any hopes on getting in profits? I don't know what PE is, but he wants to know any hopes on touching HDFC Bank 1650 odd rupees.
So PE indicates put options. I'm bullish on HDFC Bank. So I think if you bought put options, then I think the stock may continue to rally up higher. So my view is bullish on HDFC Bank.
Okay, Mr. Chokalingam, this one is from Sunny. He's writing to us from Muscat. Wants to know whether it's advisable to invest in BASF or a Bayer crop for a mid to long term.
Both are good for long term, but Bayer crop extremely linked to the monsoon performance. So one should wait. BASF for long term, yes, one can buy.
Okay, but with this, viewers, it's time's up on the rapid fire session as well as onto the Buy Now Sell Now show. Mr. Chokalingam as well as Kunal, thank you so much for joining us today on ET Now and helping all our viewers with their stock-related queries. But with this, viewers, it's a goodbye from me and Cheryl and the entire team who put this show together. But don't go anywhere. Markets at noon will take the action ahead.